So this one's going to be on marijuana dealers and the lies they tell. But it goes a lot more in depth. Now, the common lie I hear is that prohibition doesn't work. My most common counterpoint is, well then why are we prohibiting pedophilia? Right? Just legalize pedophilia and then pedophilia will go down. The only reason pedophilia is happening is because it's illegal, right? I mean, prohibition increases consumption. I hear that one a lot. Which, my understanding is that's based on alcohol prohibition, right? Sales of alcohol went up during prohibition. Yeah. That's a broad, vague overgeneralization that isn't accurate. Now, for those of you who want me to prove my data sources, sorry, there's a lot of ugly stages to growing your hair long. And I grow it out every winter, so I go through this ugly... Anyway. Marijuana prohibition. Occurred, 1940s, right? James Hirschfeld, I think. Now, for those who don't know what product placement is, you're a moron. Product placement first worked in 1929 with Edward Bernays getting women to smoke by placing women smoking cigarettes. And that's probably not the first time it worked, it's just the first time I'm aware of that it worked in advertising. I'd imagine there's a lot of history I don't know about, 1700s, 1600s, 1500s. I wonder how old advertising really is. Right? Undoubtedly there was carpenters making wooden signs in medieval times to increase the sale of their products. Or get people to purchase their services over the other competition. Etc., etc. Anyway, Edward Bernays placing women smoking in Hollywood, television, radio ads, magazine ads, etc. Got women to smoke. It increased the consumption of nicotine in the combustion method of chemical extraction. Marijuana prohibition, without product placement in movies, would have left marijuana alone. It probably would have just gone out like a fad. For those who say that prohibition increases consumption, the consumption of marijuana has increased with legalization. So this literally proves the opposite thing true. That's one huge lie marijuana pushers tell. Anyone selling marijuana has a conflict of interest. They're not motivated by the truth, they're motivated by money. They will step over the truth. They will lie. They will suppress the truth because the truth will block them from profit. This is an obstacle to overcome, like running over a cat in the street. Can't be late. Literally, all marijuana junkies, yeah, definitely kill kids and animals and stuff with their vehicles all the time, daily, because they're high, right? They don't even notice. What? Why isn't that shown in movies? It is a little bit. I've seen a few commercials like that, and they are true. So clearly what I'm stating has been known for a very long time. The anti-drug commercials were true. There was one where somebody was stoned and they hit a kid on a bicycle. Didn't stop the elites from pushing marijuana. And that's what this is really about. The elites. So, the same people that run Hollywood, that control Hollywood and television and media in general, also control the government and the police department. These are the wealthy elite, like super elite, right? These are people like way above Donald Trump and the President of the United States, etc., etc. So, they made the forbidden fruit forbidden, but then they made it enticing. This reminds me of an old atheist YouTube video from like 12 years ago, I think, now or more, where the Garden of Eden had the forbidden fruit, and the guy's like, well, why didn't you make it smell awful and put like spikes on it so people wouldn't eat it? No, you made it luscious and tempting? Didn't that go against the whole point of making it forbidden? If you make it enticing? So that's what they did. Marijuana prohibition worked roughly for the first 20 years, right? 1940 to 1960. And then all of a sudden you had product placement. So why was the product placement of marijuana allowed in media while it was illegal? Nobody ever asked that, right? I never hear that from QAnon. I never hear that from Trump supporters. I never hear that from... Well, QAnon are just dumb, let's be honest. Q drops are just like dogs shitting in your brain. Oh, it's time for the latest Q drop. But product placement, while it was illegal, created the drug war, I believe is what it's commonly called, right? So the same elites made a ton of money off the black market sales and made a ton of money off of incarceration and criminalization. They created the problems they profited off of. Now, another common lie I hear from marijuana junkies, pushers, etc. is correlation doesn't equal causation. Right? How am I inferencing causation from correlation? My response is correlation doesn't eliminate causation. More often than not, correlation points to causation, with very few exceptions. But to further validate my statement, things prohibited in the United States, because I guarantee you there's other things that are prohibited that nobody's using because they're not pushed by Cheech and Chong, by Snoop Dogg, by Dave Chappelle, right? By Lana Del Rey. All I wanna do is get high on the beach, spread AIDS at the beach. Yeah. California, by the way, I should do a microcosmic analysis, a microanalysis of California as a perfect example of how marijuana destroys the state. Examples of prohibited items are dangerous toys, cars that don't protect their occupants in a crash, bushmeat, or illegal substances like absinthe and rohypnol. Now, how many times have you seen dangerous toys glorified in a movie the way marijuana was glorified by Cheech and Chong, or Snoop Dogg, or Dave Chappelle, or the many others from the 1960s to the current year? How many times have you seen cars that don't protect their occupants in a crash glorified, sexualized, made enticing by Cheech and Chong, Snoop Dogg, Dave Chappelle, etc.? How many times have you seen bushmeat glorified, made sexy, made enticing by Cheech and Chong, Snoop Dogg, Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper and Easy Rider, and so forth and so on? Let's go for some more here. Bear wrestling. 50 things you won't believe are banned in the U.S. So if bear wrestling is prohibited, then why isn't prohibition increasing bear wrestling? How many times have you seen bear wrestling glorified and made sexy by Cheech and Chong, Snoop Dogg, Dave Chappelle, etc.? You can't carry a bow and arrow in Alaska. How many times have you seen carrying a bow and arrow in Alaska glorified? No camel hunting in Arizona. How many times have you seen camel hunting in Arizona glorified, made sexy, and so forth and so on? So for this vague generalization, and made by, these are marijuana junkies, right? They're pushers, they're liars, of course. There's no point in holding your breath and expecting honesty or intelligence from these people. They're drug addicts and drug dealers. 20 things. Let's go for some more here. Blah, 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 blah. Selling dog hair is illegal? How many times have you seen selling dog hair glorified, made sexy, made enticing by Snoop Dogg, Cheech and Chong, Dave Chappelle, etc.? And I mean etc. There is a ton of Hollywood puppets who are just corporate whores. These are just prostitutes for corporations. Or the elite who own the corporations above the CEOs. Yeah. Kangaroo boxing. Kinder eggs, sharing your Netflix password, Shooting at video games. Waking up bears. Haggis. Ooh, the United States banned Scotland's national dish for decades. So how many times have you seen haggis glorified, made sexy, made enticing, right? Haggis is the forbidden fruit on a federal level. Oh, but we're all sneaking it, aren't we? No, we're not. You know why? Because it's not in your face through your electronic device. Aki fruit. Children's books printed before 1985 are outlawed in the U.S. because the inks, dyes, and paints can use traces of lead. Ooh, man, how did the boomers survive? Predicting the future is illegal in Massachusetts. It's illegal without a license. Vampirism in the state of Louisiana. Foie gras, meaning fatty liver. Drunk surfing is illegal. Driving blindfolded. How many times have you driven blindfolded because it's illegal? Right? If prohibition increases consumption, oh man, there's a lot of weird shit. Non-bouncy pickles, horse tripping. Oh, that's a really beautiful picture of a horse, actually. Very aesthetic. Absinthe. Once in a while you see absinthe in certain movies, but not really that much. At least not me. Raw milk and cheese. Only 13 states allow the sale of raw milk in stores. So, if the prohibition of raw milk and cheese and the sale of raw milk and cheese is increasing the consumption of raw milk and cheese, is there a huge raw milk and cheese black market that really started in the 1960s? You know, with like the Cheech and Chong version of raw milk and cheese, right? Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper rebelling against the pasteurized milk industry. Exactly. So you're all fucking morons for falling for this. And to be fair, I fell for it too. I was born into it. I didn't know any better. Learning psychology is the only thing that made me even aware of this shit. They have been programming us for their profit for decades. And I remember growing up, there was other guys who'd figure this shit out, and you just never heard from them again. They disappeared. They didn't necessarily disappear, just disappeared from my mind and my awareness, and, you know, I had no idea what happened to them. And I used to think they were crazy. I owe a lot of those guys an apology. I never saw just how insidious the deep state, the CIA, the elites, the plutocracy, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, right? The Jews, the Bilderbergs, the Freemasons, the 1%, the Epstein list. Yeah. I didn't know just how fucking evil they were. Although, if it's applied eugenics, just like World War II was a global depopulation, maybe it's not evil. Maybe there's a higher morality above my level of morality because I'm on, you know, the low income end of the scale. Thus the low power end. I don't know. But either way, even though I could be wrong about whether it's evil or not, I am right about all this. They made it forbidden and then pushed it in Hollywood, media, etc. to make it enticing. What kind of government allows that? What kind of government makes something illegal and then makes it enticing with product placement in Hollywood, and music, television, so forth and so on?